Hey everyone, Not Your Average Joe here, and today I've decided to do a review for the newly released video game Sonic Forces, available on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch, as far as I know. I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons that I found. I've played the game, I got it on the release day, and just what I think about it in general, and towards the end I'll tell you guys whether or not you should consider buying this. I'll be talking about what I found to be the pros and cons of this video game, and my opinion on whether or not you should buy it by the end of the video. Okay, so for Sonic Forces, I found that there were a lot of pros to this game, and I was kind of surprised because a lot of people had been down talking it, and I guess in some ways it would have exceeded my expectations because I had fairly low expectations about the game. In particular, a lot of people were talking bad about the original character creation, which I was interested in, but I didn't really know if a Sonic game would be able to make that kind of transition. And I have to say, I was really pleasantly surprised. The original character creation, they give you a lot of options. There's quite a number of different species you can pick from. I think it's like 7 or 8 different ones that you can pick from. I went with the wolf one for starters because I like the added attribute that things are attracted towards your avatar when you're going through a level, which I decided to go off of based on one of the early game reviews saying that it's a good class for beginners. The play style for the original character was surprisingly smooth for me to be able to transfer over to. It still felt like a Sonic game, even though I wasn't playing as Sonic the Hedgehog. The Wispon, I don't know how to pronounce that. The amount of options that you have from that as well, and the way that you can interact with the wisps that you find in the different levels, really makes it fun to go back and play the old levels over again, because there's different ways you can get through by trying it out with different avatars and different Wispon combinations. Something that I thought was kind of interesting, because normally in Sonic games in the past you've just gone back and you play as Sonic or Shadow or what have you, and you're just trying to beat your old time, try and get that S rank, so on and so forth. This actually puts an extra bit of flair into that, which I really, really liked. One of the other pros that I found that I definitely want to make mention of is the graphics were beautiful. I was showing Sonic Forces to a friend of mine when he was over here the other day, and he and I were just laughing. We're like, where were these graphics when we were growing up? And along with the graphics, the handling is so smooth. The controls they responded as they should. There wasn't any of that wonky crap that you get with Sonic 06. Yes, I just mentioned the taboo of all the Sonic games. I love that game, but good lord, the controls need some work. The controls in this game were phenomenal. I really enjoyed how smooth they were. Moving on to the story, I have to say I was definitely thrown a little bit by how the story came along, especially with the villain. Actually, no, not especially with the villain. There are 2 points that I would like to make about the storyline, but first is the villain, Infinite. We don't really get into his character too much, but we do get to see his backstory somewhat with the Shadow episode, and how he has a personal grudge against Shadow, which was kind of interesting to see an enemy that has something more against Shadow than against Sonic for once, because Sonic's the hero, he's always saving the day. Shadow just kind of shows up and does his thing. Nobody really ever thinks twice about him. We've seen the episode Shadow that Infinite was a mercenary hired by Eggman who was totally thrashed by Shadow and develops an inferiority complex because of this. And that's just something I haven't really seen in a Sonic game before, so that was refreshing. The other thing that I want to make mention of in the story is that it started in a way that I absolutely was not expecting. I mean, usually we have Sonic show up after the end of the first level, kicks the crap out of whatever Eggman's cooked up for him, but Eggman's like, this is only a taste of what is to come, and then he just flies away and he's got those bumbling robots with him. But this time, Sonic was crushed, and Eggman actually takes over the world, which was something I had never seen before. Again, which really surprised me. It threw me a curveball, and immediately it drew me into the game, because I was like, okay, what happens next? They don't have Sonic. What do they do? Which, of course, led to the creation of your own original character, which I thought was a really great way to implement this particular mechanic, because I had been wondering, okay, so there's this original character function that they're making. how does that play into the game? Are we going to be doing 3 separate campaigns because Classic Sonic also appeared? But no, we got to put our own original character into a pretty cool Sonic game. All right, so I've gone on a little bit about how good this game was, and it was a good game. I honestly think it's a good game, but it does absolutely have its cons. It definitely has problems. First and foremost was the levels were just way too short. I could get all of them done within less than 4 minutes each. Even the classic Sonic levels were way too short for my taste. It was disappointing. I will say it was disappointing because my favorite Sonic game has always been Sonic Adventures 2 Battle. That's kind of what I set the mark by for, that's kind of how I set the bar for Sonic games. And the one of the reasons why is because in that game in particular, there's a huge variety in the way that you can play the game. We have the classic Sonic, where the levels are full of rail grinding action, all those speed boosters going up and down these crazy buildings, and there was that, but it usually takes quite a bit longer to get through those levels. In this game, it was just over way too quickly. I finished the game in less than 2 days. I think the gameplay was like, I think I've spent like 5 hours on the campaign, if that. Yeah, so that was kind of a letdown. Speaking of another thing that was just too easy was the system ranking. It was just way too easy to get that S rank. And I've been playing. I was playing Sonic Unleashed recently, and the controls are a little more difficult to handle on that one, which may have something to do with it being difficult to achieve a score. But you have to work for it in that game. In Sonic Forces, you don't have to try very hard to get that S rank on most of the levels. There's been a couple that have been somewhat difficult. The episode Shadow levels, I would say, they definitely present more of a challenge. It's harder to get that S rank on them. But overall, getting a good score in the game was just way too easy to accomplish. This was more of a little bit of a nitpick, but I didn't feel like classic Sonic needed to be there. It was just I was kind of expecting from, like I had Sonic Generations, where classic Sonic and modern Sonic meet up through a space-time rip, and they have to go out and fix it. That didn't happen at all. It was just like, oh, the Phantom Ruby is causing all kinds of problems. Let's just bring in classic Sonic for the fun of it. I mean, I don't hate the classic Sonic gameplay, but it just didn't feel like it was properly placed. It was just there because I feel like the creators wanted him to be there, and I can understand that as a story writer, but I can also say you can't just throw characters in there because you want them to be there. There needs to be some kind of reason, and classic Sonic just ending up lending an extra hand, not a good enough reason, quite honestly. So that was kind of a disappointment. The last thing that I kind of have a nitpick about is that no Super Sonic. I mean, they said that they're going to release him in a DLC later on, but they haven't said whether or not that's going to be free. And you can get him on the PC version already, apparently, but you can't get him on the PlayStation 4 version, which is what I got. And that's really kind of a bummer. I mean, I remember playing Sonic the Lost World, and I really like how they did that, where you had to do these bonus levels to get the 7 Chaos Emeralds, and when you got all 7 of them, you could play Super Sonic in any level that you so wished to, as long as you had 50 rings, and then the rings would start draining as soon as you activated the form. But that made for really great gameplay, actually, and I'm really disappointed that he wasn't available straight off the bat, because Super Sonic is such an iconic character. Stuff it, Goku. I was a little disappointed. It wasn't enough to make me rage quit the game, obviously. I still like it. Sonic Adventures was my first Sonic game, and I remember working my butt off on the GameCube to finally unlock that hidden level so I could play as Super Sonic, because I loved the Sonic X cartoon as a kid, and I just thought Super Sonic and Super Shadow were the coolest, and I always wanted to play as them in the video games. So I guess that kind of child that's still in me is kind of fuming that Super Sonic was not made available, and also makes me wonder, are they going to make Super Shadow available, and if so, is it going to have to be a paid-for DLC for either of them? If so, that's kind of a bummer, because the Super form has always been an integral part of the game, even back to the arcade games. So the fact that they would do this is really disappointing. So overall, this felt like a solid Sonic game. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed playing it. I'm still enjoying playing it. It had its faults, sure, but I think overall the pros definitely outweigh the cons. On a scale of 1 to 10, for Sonic games, I would give this one an 8 out of 10. It was new, it was exciting, it was fun, and in all video games, that's important to have fun. But out of general video games, I would give this a 6 or 7, honestly, because yes, it's a good game, but it's just there's just too many cons going against it to give it a top rank. So my recommendation, if you're going to buy this game, which I do recommend that you do, I would wait to get it used so you don't pay full price for it, or just wait a little bit to see if the price goes up or down. And yeah, then you'll have a good game to play. It's fun. There's not a 2-player mode, but I don't really think that's too important these days. Most Sonic games that are coming out now don't. So what did you guys think? Did you like this review? Please let me know in the comment section below. Please subscribe to me and let me know what kind of videos you guys would like to see. If you like this kind of video, please say so. Or if you'd like, I can do individual reviews for movies and books. I usually do this on Friday nights with the rest of the Not Your Average Productions on our Friday night podcast, Not Your Average Podcast. But I decided to start doing some more individual videos just to let you guys know what I think about it, because it's nice to have a group discussion. It definitely is. But this is kind of a way for me to be a little bit more direct with you guys. So let me know if you want me to do movies, books, or another video game. Please, if you could, support me on Patreon. I'm putting a link in the description below, and there should also be a link like somewhere over here, I think. So until then, until the next time, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a good day, and have a good Christmas, which is coming up. See you later.